Hi everyone, and a warm welcome to the OxGVC day number 2 into the session number 3. I am your chair today. My name is Helena Tukiainen and I am a geographer working as a postdoc researcher at the University of Oulu in Finland, which is in Northern Europe. I hope that you enjoyed today's poster sessions that have just ended. And please remember that the discussion around the posters as well as the topics related to geoheritage and geodiversity can of course continue in the conference Discord server. Today we will have 2 sessions with presentations. In this session you will hear 5 15-minute talks with a range of topics and geographical locations. After all of the presentation there is time for answering questions. So if you wish to ask questions from the presenters, which we encourage you to do, you can write them in the YouTube live chat or in the Facebook live chat. You can also write questions in our Discord channel in Questions for Talks and Flash Talks text channel. The discussion is an important part of this conference, so please ask and comment freely. It would also be nice to know in the chat that where are you joining us today from. If you would like to post greetings from the conference in social media, you can use the hashtag OxGVC. But now it is time for our first speaker. I'm going to ask Vladislav to join us. And welcome, Vladislav. How are you?
Hello to everyone. Good.
Nice to hear. Vladislav will be telling us about geosite determination based on geodiversity assessments utilizing volcanic history of a near sea level explosive eruption dominated volcanic island, which is Tyhya or Major Island in New Zealand. So please take it away, Vladislav.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, hello to everyone. My name is Vladislav Zakharovsky. Today I would like to present to you my work, which is geosite determination based on geodiversity assessment utilizing volcanic history of near sea level explosive eruption dominated volcanic island, which is Major Island, based on Major Island in New Zealand. For today, our plan is first, it's a overview of Major Island, then methodology and aims. Then we will check on results of assessment of geodiversity and conclusions. Here on the picture, I present the term of geodiversity, geosite, and geoheritage, where geodiversity is all abiotic nature of the region, which is geology, geomorphology, and other elements and processes. Geosites is basically some specific location inside geodiversity, and geoheritage is unique or rare geosite, which is significant for the world. And this quantitative assessment of geodiversity based on a thing that we assess geodiversity to recognize geosites. This is quite important. Okay, my overview of Major Island. Geomorphology. First, Major Island is located around 45 kilometers of northeast coast of Bay of Plenty in the North Island of New Zealand. This type of formation is parallelcline shield-like volcano edifice, around 3 kilometers wide, nested collapse caldera. And this island has elevation around, the highest point is around 354.3 meters above sea level, which is located on the west part, which we can see on the model 1, which is elevation model. And size is a 15 kilometer wide base, rising from 420 meter depth of the continental slope. Geology. Geology of Major Island is based on 3 cycles of eruptions, which present here on model 1 is a geological geological elements of these eruptions. Basically, lions, it's like features with lions are showing different lava flows from different times, while dots, like features with dots, showing the pyroclastic deposits. Also, this model 2 is showing these 3 cycles of eruption, which happened over the last 150,000 years ago. And the first cycle is shown in a I showed in a black color, which is 150 to 36,000 years ago. Cycle 2 is a pink color, which is happened 35 to 9.2 thousand years ago, and cycle 3 is 7.5 thousand years ago to present time. Basically, it's a yellow color. Methodology and aims. Aim of our research is to highlight possible geosite on Mare Island, then improve methodology with volcanic heritage values, and utilize accessible data and software. Our type of assessment is qualitative-quantitative assessment of geodiversity, which is based on an arithmetic average equation, where we're utilizing value points, area of spreading, and whole area of research. Here on the scheme, I'm showing the etaps of creating our geodiversity assessment, which we start from database, where we require digital elevation model, geological map, or some similar data, and some images, which can become some additional values for assessment. Then we prepare them to create some other models, which is slope model, geological model, and some additional models. Then we unite them all, calculate, and have value of geodiversity. For software, we utilized Quantum GIS, while for data, we utilize geological map of Mare Island and DAM based on a leader data. Okay, here I present a table of a 5-point evaluation system, which we created to evaluate our elements of geodiversity. Main value of geodiversity contain 2 elements, which is morphology and geology. Morphology we calculate based on a slope degree, where the highest degree is like, in a way, the higher degree, the more like a chance that you will find in during the field trip some outcrops, which are really valuable to study history of geological history. From geological perspective, we concentrate on rock types and their ages. And here our table based on the rareness of rock types. And as for Mare Island, the rock type is extrusive Cenozoic rock, which it's why we also include in our assessment additional element, which is more local based. It's a volcanology. This element is utilizing phases according to Mare Island, and we have different phases where lava flows we put on a lower values rather than pyroclastic deposits, which are on a high and the highest. Results of assessment: volcanological and geomorphological values. Here I'm showing 2 models. The first model is showing volcanological value of Mare Island with applying on it the data of volcanological evaluation system. And basically we are more curious about the places which shown in a yellow or orange, which is basically around the island and a little bit of them in the center of island. And on a model 2, it's a geomorphological model based on a slope. The same 4 and 5 points, which is high and the highest value, are important, most valuable. And as we can see, most of them are concentrated on a wall of caldera and on in the coastal areas of the island. Result of assessment. This is geodiversity value of Mare Island. We created this utilizing like ecological and geomorphological models. We united them together through overlapping, utilizing some union tool in quantum gears. And here we put both values together, which means that from the 1 to the values now from the 1 to 10, and places which has values for our next more precise observation are places with the highest value, which is 6 and to 10, which is yellow and orange color. As you can see, most of these possible geosites are located on the south part of the island, on the central western part of the island, and the northeast part of the island. Okay, in conclusion, volcanological values are good implication into the calculation, especially for places like Mare Island, which contains the same rock type. However, volcanological evaluation system can be utilized only for Mare Island, unlike geological and geomorphological elements. High and the highest values of geodiversity are preserved in 3 types of pyroclastic deposits, which formed on the cliff areas of southeast, central, and the north part of Mare Island. And qualitative method is good approach to highlight location with high interest, which should be considered for future more detailed studies on the field. Thank you for your attention. This is the end.
Thank you so much, Ladislav. It was really interesting to hear results from the other part of the globe when actually, at least when looking from Finland. So thank you very much for your interesting presentation. Next, I'm gonna ask Evie to join us. Hello, Evie. How are you?
Hi, Elena. Nice. Greetings from Greece.
Thank you. Nice to have you here. And we will be focusing now to Greece, as already mentioned, and hear a presentation about science-driven mobile application, highlighting the National Geographical Park of Nea Kameni volcano in Santorini in Greece. Here is your presentation, so when you are ready, off you go.
Yes, of course. So many thanks for the invitation. I'm glad that I'm going to present one of the best volcanoes in the world. It's the very well-known volcano of Santorini, of course, worldwide. Just in the picture, you can see Nea Kameni. That means the new burn land. Just in the opposite side is Palea Kameni. So I'm not going to talk about the geology of Santorini because this is something that many volcanologists are focused on that. So I will try to show you how we're going to present Nea Kameni and Palea Kameni, and of course the paths of Nea Kameni using digital platforms, using mobile applications. So just few slides about the volcanoes in the Aegean Sea. Here you can see a synthetic topographic map in the South Aegean Sea. In Greece, we have 4 volcanic groups starting from the west. This is Methana in Saronic Gulf, the peninsula of Methana. Then we have Milos volcanic group, also with Adimilos and the surrounding area of hydrothermal vent fields. Of course, the famous volcanic centers of Santorini, but also just at the northeastern part, we have also the submarine volcano of Kolumbo. And just at the eastern part of the Hellenic arc, we have Yali and Nisyros. Also, just to mention that Nisyros, we submitted submit a proposal to have Nisyros in the global network of UNESCO geoparks. So fingers crossed that we can make it. And also we have a poster just in the previous session. So let's go back to Santorini. So this is the caldera of Santorini, one of the largest depression that we have on land. One of the first names of Santorini was named as Strongili. Strongili means the round, due to the round shape. And of course, we know that the other name is Kallisti. Kallisti means the most beautiful island. It's completely different from the other islands in the Aegean Sea because the whole landscape is composed by volcanic rocks, and also in some parts there are some limestones. Of course, Santorini is very famous about the late Bronze Age eruption, as we say, the Minoan eruption. The Minoan eruption has been divided in 4 different phases, starting with the Plinian phase, and then we have phreatomagmatic phases. And of course, the last phase that was the most destructive one that we have, the large pyroclastic flows that enter violently into the sea and cause the tsunami that has destroyed many parts of the northern part of Crete. There are lots of different types of groups that they are working together, try to reconstruct the shape of Santorini volcano before the Minoan eruption. This is one of the papers, our favorite papers of Carlson et al. 2018, of course, and this is something, and 20, and this is the shape of Santorini volcano before the Minoan eruption, and everything started just in the center of that caldera. The caldera at that time, it was shallow. The depth was almost 120. Now the depth of the caldera is almost 400 meters. So this is after the big Minoan eruption. The submarine eruption started just in the middle of the caldera, so we have different types of volcanic eruptions, and the last eruption was in 1950. So you can see here the Nea Kameni and Palea Kameni. Okay, so this is all the eruptions, the 9 eruptions that we have starting from 197 BC, somewhere here, and that eruption, it has been destroyed. The volcanic cone has been destroyed completely, and the last eruption, as I said before, it was 1950. So we do know that there are more than 300,000 tourists during every year, except of the COVID period, that they are visiting Nea Kameni. So there are tourists from all over the world that they want to know more about the volcanic evolution of Nea Kameni. So what we were thinking, we, in collaboration with Geothera, the organization that is responsible for Nea Kameni, we say that, okay, what is useful for the tourists? It is very useful to have a mobile application just in their hands, and to have this information, everything that they want to ask or to know from the scientific point of view, but in a very simple way, not using very difficult geological words in their mobile. So we create Santorini Volcanic app, and also we create, here you can see more information using this website, www.santorinivolcano.gr. This volcano application will be released in 10 to 20 days, because now we have some we need to give technical details to the Apple and Google Store. So this is what we have done as a group from the National University of Athens, the Department of Geology and Geoenvironment. So create a Santorini volcanic mobile application. We have created a new website and, of course, a new leaflet that is translated in English. It will be distributed in English and in Greek this year, and the next year we are going to have it in more languages. So about the Santorini volcanic application is a mobile application. On the main page, okay, we have something about Santorini. So there are different spots, main spots of Santorini. So you can learn about the different sites of Santorini, the most important sites. There are some words about the Minoan eruption, the volcanic evolution of Kameni Islands, the area map. I can show you a map, the points of interest, because on the way to Nea Kameni, to the highest point, you may visit and stop 5 different very interesting points. We also include a dictionary, because most of the time when you are walking in Nea Kameni, you are hearing that lots of people, they have lots of questions. What is caldera means, or what is the crater, or what is dacite? These words are very familiar to us as geologists, but most of the people, they don't know the meaning. So we decided to include also dictionary. The most impressive one is that we have lots of image galleries, video galleries, and of course 360 panoramas of the whole area of Santorini. This is if you download this application in your mobile, as I said before, in 20 days it will be released. Okay, so this is something that you will have it just in front of. This is the first page of this mobile application. Okay, and of course, this is about Santorini, for example. This is Minion eruption. This is, if you click here on the area map, you will see an area, and also you will walk in on the way up to the highest point of Nea Kameni. So you will be presented as a yellow dot, okay? And you may stand and, of course, see the view of the craters in these 5 different interesting points. But if you click on each point, you are going to see different aspects of the volcanic evolution of Nea Kameni. As I said before, you are going to have image gallery. We collect lots of different photos all around Santorini, but also in the hydrothermal craters. And of course, we also include some old photos from the previous eruption. We have a lot of videos galleries, and 360 panoramas, as I said before, 360 panoramas. Don't forget that you are visiting a very active volcano, so we thought that including also safety tips, it is very, very important, because most of the time when you are in the volcano, some people, they don't know that, okay, you need to be extra careful to wear a hat or to wear shoes, suitable shoes, or don't collect samples, for example, or don't go far away from the paths because it's very dangerous. And this is the most scientific point of this mobile application. We have included all the volcanic evolution of the different stages of Nea Kameni, having onshore and offshore data. So these are the new maps that have already been published, but now it's ready to be for all the people. And of course, as I said, the dictionary, the points of interest, just a small text about the history of each point. For example, we include some info about the volcanic eruption of 1950. Just few sentences. If you are on the field, you don't need a lot of information. You need to know only the most important things and just admire the view. And of course, the contribution, as I said before, this product is in collaboration with Geothira and the municipality of Thira, and of course, this is the National Kapodistria University of Athens. The website is ready. It is translated in English and of course in Greek. This is, as we say, this www.santorinivolcano.gr. This is the first page of this Santorini website. It has information about the Minion eruption, about the Kameni Islands, all the different points of interest, how you can upload the volcanic application for your mobile, many information about Geothira and the municipality of Thira in general, the safety tips, as we said before, and of course to contact, if you need some more information, to contact either the scientific team or the Geothira, that is the responsible organization for the protection of Nea Kameni. And of course, here we also include information about how you can go to Nea Kameni from Santorini, okay, from the different ports of Santorini. Also, we include lots of information about the Hellenic Arc. What is the Hellenic Arc? Where is the Hellenic Arc? And what are the other volcanic groups? The South Aegean Sea, for example, here in Sousaki, Methana, or Milos, Antimilos, as we said before, Christiana, Santorini, and Kos Niseros Gali. This is another option of the topographic map of Nea Kameni. As you can see, there are 5 interesting points. So you may click also in the website, click on number 1, number 2, number 3, and you may take all the most important info about the volcanic eruption of the island. For example, click on point 1, you can have some information about Mikra Kameni crater. Mikra Kameni is the small island. As I said before, this is the volcanic evolution, the 9 episodes of volcanic evolution of Nea and Palea Nea Kameni, starting from 187 BC, the last eruption of 1950. The blue color indicates the seafloor morphology, okay, and the brown Greek color, indicates on the on-land topographic data. This is a small video, but we are not going to show you the small video because this is a PDF, okay, about the old eruption of 1925-28 eruption of Santorini. As I said before, these are the very useful information. You can find it in the website, how you can travel from Santorini, from the different ports of Santorini to Nea Kameni, because most of the people, when they are visiting Santorini, they say, oh, okay, how can we go there? Okay, so now you can have this info, and of course you may click and you can take the QR code, okay, and you need to pay a small amount of money of, if I remember well, €3. This is the responsible organization. It will have the responsibility also for the money. But if you have this application, you can have a free ticket to the volcano. And of course, the leaflet. Okay, so we try to figure out how can we persuade the people to keep a leaflet and not throw away. So we think to have a foldable poster design, just on the last page, okay, to have something that you can take it with you as a souvenir. You may say that, okay, I will visit Nea Kameni, but then I will take it something with me. And of course, this is the one page of this one page of this foldable poster design. But for example, here also you can see the different types of points of interest, but also on the lights, and of course different information about Mikra Kameni, points 1, points 2, points 3, points 4, and 5. This is some other information about, as we said, Minoan eruption, but this is the most important thing. On the last page, okay, so you can have the volcanological map of Palea and Nea Kameni, combine onshore and offshore data, and in the A2 size. So this is something that you can keep it and you can have it on your return when you return back to your countries. So this is what we have done already for the geopark of the National Geopark. Unfortunately, it does not belong to the network of global geoparks of UNESCO, but for us, the National Geopark of Nea Kameni and Palea Kameni. So thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoyed our website. And of course, in a few days, you can also use the QR code and you can upload this mobile application in your mobile. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Evie, for your wonderful presentation. Before moving into the next presentation, we will see a short video about one of the funders and supporters of this conference, so the Discover Charnwood possible geopark. So please enjoy the presentation.
It's time to discover Charnwood. Perfectly located right in the center of the country and enjoying superb transport links, there is no better place to visit, work and live. For nearly 600 million years, the powerful forces of nature have been sculpting our breathtaking landscapes. Evidence of our unique geological history is scattered among picturesque villages and can be experienced up close in the rocks of Bradgate Park and Beacon Hill. Such is the importance of Charnwood Forest, it is now an aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark. At the heart of this dramatic landscape is the dynamic university and market town of Loughborough, home to the last major bell foundry in the UK, 800-year-old markets and the Great Central Heritage Railway. In Charnwood, we are proud of our past and excited for our future. Our award-winning Loughborough University and cutting-edge science and enterprise parks are leading world-class research, innovation and sport, and nurturing the stars and heroes of future generations. Discover Charnwood, a fascinating destination promising a non-stop voyage from ancient origins to future potential. In Charnwood, we are shaping tomorrow's world today.
So there were some beautiful landscapes from Charnwood area. Now we are moving on in our actual presentation skill, and next we will have Ghislaine presenting his work. Welcome to the conference, Ghislaine.
Thank you, Elena.
Ghislaine will be talking about about the volcanic geoheritage of Mogode and Rumski in Kapskilpotür in far north Cameroon, which is an asset for sustainable geotourism. So please, Ghislaine, the stage is now yours.
Yeah, please, Elena, can you open my presentation, please? How can I do to proceed?
The presentation is now on the screen, so you can switch the slides from the arrows that are on the bottom of the screen. You can see
Okay,
those.
great. Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I am Gisna Zamo from Cameroon. I'm going to present my work entitled The Volcanic Geoheritage of Mogode and Rumsiki, Kapsiki Plateau, Far North Region, Cameroon, Asset for Sustainable Geotourism. The main point of my presentation include the introduction, volcanic heritage, touristic activity, sustainable geotourism, and conclusion. To introduce, we must retain that the study area is just close to Nigeria in the far north region of Cameroon, precisely in Mogode municipality. Here we have the study area, the map of the study area, as you can see on the screen. You must note that this territory has been marked by volcanic events from 27 to 35 million years that was responsible for the alkaline rocks mainly made up of basalt, trachyte, and rhyolite. These events, coupled with surface processes, have constructed numerous outcrops that constitute geological sites of interest or volcanic heritage. Although the execution of several research projects on geoheritage in other regions of Cameroon, the Mogode and Rumsiki geoheritage has not been yet studied for sustainable geotourism, although they are outstanding quality value. This has led us uh, to study the volcanic heritage of Rumsiki and Mogode municipality for their in order to promote a sustainable geotourism. That is the main of the aim of this study. We use field trip and laboratory work to inventory and study all the volcanic geoheritage. The first type is a block. A block are 10 to 100-meter high and 50 to 500-meter in diameter. And we can see the main blocks in the study area. We also have these ones, and we must know that these blocks have columnar joint on their flank, and also have these blocks. They mostly present several crack network and eventually collapsed block on their piedmont, as you can see on these pictures. We also have dikes. Nearly 10 dikes of varying dimension has been selected in the study area. They are mainly 1.5 to 15 meter wide, 200 and more than 200 to more than 1,000 meter long, and 1 to 250 meter high. This is one of the mega dike of the locality. These are other pictures of these dikes, and Other geoheritage features are columnar joint, as you can see on those pictures. Some are inclined, as you can see on these pictures, and some can be found on these blocks. We also have panoramic view of the area that lets the tourist to have the general view of the area. We can also have this panoramic view. You can see the different block that can be observed from afar. This map highlights the spatial distribution of the geoheritage, volcanic geoheritage of the Rumsiki and Mogode caldera municipality. Sorry, and you can see that the red highlight the mega dike, and the gray is the block, and the yellow is the smaller dike. Even though tourism in Mogode and Rumsiki has fallen drastically, it has been at the origin of the socio-economic development of this locality. Uh, uh, for example, these pictures uh, highlight the presence of foreign people during the best touristic period, and the presence or the arrival of those tourists fostered several economic activities in the localities. Uh, we can have on the pictures one of those activities called pottery. These women are working on pottery. We have the product from these uh, these activities. As you can see, many colors and many products can be provided. We also have trade and clothes by weaver, as you can see on these pictures. Uh, we have sculpture and jewelry. As you can see, we have traditional tools many of those products have a cultural significance of the region. We also have hotels and inn, restaurant. Uh, there we can eat local food, drink local wine. We also have trade, we also have transport, tourist guide, and we must retain that from 2009 and 2015, tourism covered 40 to 60% of the Mogodi municipality earnings. This led to the revenue of more than 138,000 euros just from the hotel activities. Despite their various assets, geotourism is not yet practiced in the study area. However, the aesthetic and educational value of this site, give them an undeniable geotourism quality. Geotourism, which is a booming business worldwide these days, will help attract more tourists and promote this exceptional site with international values. It will help to protect and conserve this site for future generations. This will ensure that young geologists receive quality field training, especially over the long term. Reduce poverty by strengthening exciting economic activity through modern means and promote their various products on a global scale. It will allow uh, it will allow at sorry, I have some problem. if you allow the cultural value of the region. As you can see on the next slide, the cultural value of the locality. First of all, we have the initiation party. It is locally called Bula and is organized once a year. It is the celebration of the changeover from the adolescent to adult. As you can see, most of them are practiced around the volcanic heritage. We also have traditional dancing, as you can see on these pictures. We also have a sorcerer with a crab. This one can predict the future of the tourist. To conclude, we can say Mogode and Rusiki volcanic heritage has a special landform, including plug, dike, and other features that makes them unique in Central Africa and beyond. Moreover, the site is internationally recognized as presented above. Ethiopian Airlines has used the pictures of the main plug of the Rumsiki locality for their publicity, and the Geological Society of Africa doing one of their newsletter use the picture of this plug as main cover pictures. This geoheritage feature constitutes a sustainable geotouristic asset that must be exploited in the sustainable socioeconomic and cultural activities in the region while preserving the site for future generation. Thanks for your kind attention.
Thank you so much for the interesting presentation. Just a reminder to the audience before going to the next presentation that if you have any comments or questions, you can put them through in the YouTube or Facebook chat or in the Discord server in the reception area in the questions for talks and flash talks text channel. So there are many options for asking questions today and in all of the sessions. But now the following 15 minutes will be dedicated to Annie Rasios, who will be speaking about geoheritage in the classical mythology of Hesiod around 700 before the Common Era. The presentation will come from a video because of unstable internet connections, but Annie is also here today.
Can
Maybe
you hear
will
me?
say yes perfectly.
Very good.
Hi, Annie. Great to have you here.
Just imagine Raquel Welch sitting there next to you. Okay, imagine me as Raquel. All right.
Yeah, there's some problems with the video connection too, but luckily we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, and if there's any problems with the timing on the slide changes, if I say next slide, I presume Jack can change it or something. Okay?
Yes, no
Sound
problem.
like a plan? Let's go.
That sounds like a plan, so
Mm-hmm.
let's go for the video.
Welcome to a little visit to Greece. Today we're going to talk about Mount Olympus, but not our wonderful, spectacular geology. We're going to talk about the mythology that we as geoscientists interpret in the creation of the mountain. There are at least 19 other mountains named Olympus over the Earth. And of course, there's Mons Olympus on Mars. So when we talk about the origin of Mount Olympus, we're talking about something which has greatly affected the interpretation of mountains and the soul of people all through the solar system. There are many archaeologists, shall we say, mythologists, shall we say, who don't even think Olympus is a real mountain, but it's some sort of floating island where the gods reside up in the sky, somewhere between heaven and earth. This, of course, is a picture of such a phenomena. It's taken 90 kilometers west of Mount Olympus. But this was not the picture of Hesiod. Hesiod wrote around 500 BC. Hesiod described in almost biblical form the mythology of Greece. And according to Greek mythology, the universe was not created by the gods, but rather the gods were created by the universe, by the union of heaven and earth. Now, I do not know if the geology of Olympus was created by the gods or by the geologists, but Hesiod refers constantly to physical areas in ways that only a geoscientist can understand. One example, how can we check the places that Hesiod describes in the reality of the geographic world? Hesiod describes the home of the Muses. He says, in Pieria de Mnemosyne, the muse of memory, who reigns over the hills of Lephtira, a little way from the topmost peak of snowy Olympus. The geography of this is absolutely correct. The hills of Pieria are 15 kilometers from the peak of Olympus and have a wonderful view of the Pantheon. And note, there's no other Mount Olympus of the 19 on Earth located near any place called Pieria. If Hesiod himself did not see this view, he certainly had someone tell him about it. Who were these eyewitnesses that filled in Hesiod on Mount Olympus? Humankind have lived in the Olympus region since Neanderthal days, but the earliest modern people settled there about 40,000 years in the past. The Bronze Age then welcomed settlers of Hellenic peoples. So in a period from about 8,000 BC to 800 BC, we have modern folk who witnessed, what did they witness? The periglacial climate at the end of the last ice age, the conditions following the explosion of the Santorini volcano in 1646 BC, and the very probable meteoritic impact at Almaros, just 80 kilometers south of Olympus. Hesiod's life straddles the Bronze and Iron Age, and he refers, and specifically refers, to the times before iron was known. Hesiod describes all these events. Let's start with the Veil of Timpy. You may have heard of it, and our theogenic mythology. What do they tell us about Thessaly and the Tempe Gorge? The myth makers say that the gorge is created quite suddenly by Poseidon, god of the seas and earthquakes, by striking it with his holy trident. Horses, of course, were sacred to him. The river spirit within the Tempe Valley was Peneus, father of Daphne, beloved of Apollo, who she rejected. She prayed to Gaia and was turned into the bay laurel tree, Daphne in Greek, which Apollo adopted as his holy symbol. So here is Thessaly in today's world, on the shores of the Aegean. a large valley where the plain part has very low altitude, and the part which we call the Tempe Gorge is, again, only 12 to 40 meters in altitude, separated by, for example, Mount Olympus, going up to nearly 3,000 meters. But in the Bronze Age, the periglacial era, around from 12,000 to 5,000 BCE, all of Thessaly was an inland sea, an inland lake. All the waters of the glaciers in the surrounding mountains were draining to these low areas. So, according to the geoscientists, the Veil of Timpy is a cataclysmic gorge from the periglacial era, concurrent with Neolithic culture. It is about 10 kilometers long, with a canyon only 25 meters wide, with walls 500 meters high surrounding it. Within it, it hosts the Peneus River, which has had the same name since it was included in the Catalogue of Holy Rivers by Hesiod in 500 BC. When the inland sea of Thessaly held more waters than could be held, the water flooded through a crack in the natural dam between Mount Olympus and Mount Ossa, and this could have been triggered by seismic fracturing. During the ice ages, during the periglacial period, it was too cold for our poor bay tree, our Daphne, to survive. Fortunately, there was this deep protected microclimate within the Veil of Timpy, and there our trees continued to grow and flourish. So if you were in the Neolithic and you needed some bay leaves, this was the place to go. Now, if you recall, the war between the gods and the Titans was when the gods were on the top of Mount Olympus throwing thunderbolts at the Titans on the top of Mount Ossa, who were throwing rocks back at the gods. Let's hear a little bit of the description and think about this description as a geologist would interpret it. The life-giving earth crashed around in burning. The vast void crackled loud with fire all about. The hot vapor lapped around the earth-born Titans. You could hear sound with ears that seemed even as if earth and wide heaven above came together. The winds brought rumbling earthquake and dust storms, thunder and lightning, and the lurid thunderbolt. If this heavenly battle was interpreted as a geological event, it could very well be a view of the effects of the 1684 BCE eruption of Santorini as witnessed in the Olympus Ossa region, recorded perhaps 800 years afterwards by Hesiod. Now, if the Santorini eruption is recorded in the tree rings in California, don't you think it would have a great effect on the Olympus region less than 500 kilometers distant? The geoscientific picture of the Olympus Ossa region during and post the Santorini eruption is as follows. The Santorini eruption would have been accompanied by a quake possibly larger than a magnitude of 8, easily felt in the Olympus area from there. The seismic ramifications of such a large earthquake would have set off derivative earthquakes along the active faults of Olympus. Indeed, a seismic storm could have been produced. The explosion of Krakatoa could be heard 4,500 kilometers in the distance. Estimating from comparison, the explosion of Santorini was easily heard at distances of more than 2,000 kilometers. The volume of ejected material from the Santorini volcano has been calculated at as much as 100 cubic kilometers of material, with an ash column reaching 35 kilometers into the stratosphere. This could cause a tephritic dust fall across the Olympus region. Such dust storms are accompanied by severe weather, including prominent lightning storms. So, the inhabitants of the Olympus region would have indeed witnessed the effects of the eruption of Santorini, with associated cataclysmic activity at the time of the eruption and years of environmental degradation caused by dust falls and climate effects. This could certainly have been passed on in legendary form and finally put to print 900 years later by Hesiod. If you see Mount Ossa in this photograph, you see that there are no loose boulders on the side of Ossa facing Mount Olympus. Let's now go to one of my favorite places, holy city of Dion at the base of Mount Olympus on the coast of the Aegean. This ancient city was sacred to Zeus. It was also the site of a miracle. Above Dion is the earliest canyon, which in Greek means the Howling Canyon. It is said to be the site where Dionysus Maenads, overcome in holy madness for whatever reason, murdered the demigod Orpheus. Their howling is still remembered in the name of the canyon today, retained from the Neolithic Bronze Age. The Maenads tried to wash the blood of the demigod off of their hands, but the river god was having nothing to do with it. He sank his river below ground to escape them in their bloody hands. This river is still named today the Vafira, which means the dyed or tainted river. Here is the Orpheus Canyon itself, with the name after the sounds made by the howling of the Maenads. But if you go up there today, like I did, we tried this, and you start yelling and screaming, you get echoes off all the walls. It never stops. It's one of the most echo-rich area in the universe. And if you are looking down from the canyon, you can see the course of the Vafero River today as it flows from Olympus itself and to the site of the ancient city of Dion. But you don't see any water in it. The river is dry. The river is only today in the aquifer beneath the riverbed. And today, as in the historical past, at Dion, the water of the Vacheron River arises as an artesian spring. And this is the holy spring of Dion, what the entire mythology is all about. Hydrogeology, then, is an inspiration to the gods. This is my last example of the geology of Hesiod. Once upon a time, Zeus was so furious with the monster Typheus that he hurled him down from heaven, burning, falling apart as he did so. The monster struck the earth, created a great depression, and even melted the rocks around where he landed. Now, if this doesn't sound like a meteorite impact, I don't know what does. I'm very proud to have put Hesiod together with these impact craters, the first ones ever discovered in Greece, the only ones discovered in Greece today, which are only 80 kilometers south of Mount Olympus. Son of a mythological monster. They have been verified as meteorite impact craters. They've been dated to the Neolithic by archaeological means because the meteorite hit archaeological remnants, and by the dating of the molten rocks at their contacts. If you were witness to this event, don't you think it might have been passed down to the time of Hesiod? Now, I want to thank you for listening to this, and I want to, as your final picture, here's the throne of Zeus atop Olympus, which looks like a suitable lazy boy for any major god of the universe. And if you wish to know more, just ask me, but we do have a publication that talks a lot more about the geology and the mythology and Hesiod already in press in GeoHeritage magazine. Thank you very much.
Wonderful presentation. Thank you, Annie. Before going to the last talk in this session, I would like to remind you that in addition to the wonderful talks that we are having in the format of both talks and flash talks, we have also a multiplicity of poster presentation on different aspects of geoheritage. So please see your delegate email for the link to view them and join the Discord server for the discussions with the presenters. The next poster session in Discord will be tomorrow after the talk. So today's poster session was already in the afternoon. But you can see and view the posters anytime you want in the folder. But in this session, our last speaker is Dion Blake. Welcome, Dion.
Hi, Dion.
He will be giving a talk about celebrating hydrogeological heritage, focusing on the Table Mountain Dams Trail and Hermanus Waterwalk in Western Cape, South Africa. So please, Dion, you can start when you are ready.
Thanks. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to OxGVC for giving us the opportunity to present on some of the geoheritage work we've been doing. I'm the director and the geologist from the Umboda Foundation. We're a non-profit company in Cape Town, South Africa, and we're a sister company of a earth science and groundwater consultancy called Umboda Africa. And the top left image is one of the dams on top of Table Mountain, at the back of Table Mountain, not what you see from the famous front view that everyone knows. That sits at about 700 meters above mean sea level. And then on the right-hand side is a production borehole from one of the well fields in Hermanus, which I'll discuss during this presentation. So hydrogeology and hydrology are commonly overlooked aspects of geoheritage. I think this might be the only direct presentation in this conference on hydrogeology and hydrology, or one of the very few. And that's despite water and all its forms having played a critical role in the development of Earth and shaping of its landforms. And water is obviously one of the main reasons why most human settlements have developed. And you can track the evolution of the settlement water supply and its history of the development of that town or city across the Holocene, and it provides an excellent tool to teach public about human interactions with Earth and going forward with climate change. And a lot of these water supply systems are historical and also engineering feats of their time, so they're also important cultural heritage features. So we've developed 2 self-guided walking trails in different stages of development, and they will have guidebooks and apps in areas of the Western Cape in South Africa, which I'll show you where we are exactly in the next slide. And both of these have a rich water supply history and hydrogeological heritage. So the one that's complete as of now, we got the booklet today, and the actual digital booklet will be up and available for free on our website. You can download it if you're interested, and if you ever come to Cape Town and you go up onto Table Mountain, you can actually understand why those dams are there. So that's the Table Mountain Dams Trail, and we were provided funding from the 35th International Geological Congress Legacy Fund, as well as our sister company Umboda Africa. And then the one we busy developing and should be finished by the end of the year is the Hermanus Waterwalk, in association with the Overberg Geosciences Group, which is primarily a group of retired geologists who live in Hermanus and surrounds, and have this pretty active group involved in geoheritage and other aspects. So both of the self-guided trails cover surface and groundwater supply systems that have a unique link to the Ordovician to Devonian Table Mountain group and the associated fractured aquifer systems. And it's hoped that these guides and trails will provide the user with a greater appreciation and understanding of the natural history or city that they live in, and to try to preserve this for future generations, as well as to provide outside tourists with an idea of where the water coming from their tap when they're visiting a city comes from. So for those of you that aren't South African, which I'm sure most of you, we sit in South Africa, at the bottom of Africa, and then in the far southwestern corner of South Africa in the Western Cape Province, and then in the southwestern corner of the Western Cape Province. So number 1 is Cape Town, and then the famous view of Table Mountain looking southwards. And then the second is Hermanus, which is about 100 kilometers southeast of Cape Town along the Overberg coastline. And Hermanus is a famous, probably the most famous whale watching spot in the world. So to go into detail of the Table Mountain Dams Trail first, this is the guidebook that we've developed. It's in hard copy and PDF for free to download, and that's the cover and the inside when the first pages when you open it. And we basically go into detail on not only the actual geology of Table Mountain, but also obviously the water supply history, going from the very first start within the city, the actual city itself. From 1,000 years back when the Khoi and the San used water from streams discharging from Table Mountain, all the way through the development of the Table Mountain dams and the greater Western Cape water supply system that Cape Town makes use of now, and then also going forward looking at climate change and how this impacts on water supply in the region. There's also a fold-out map which provides an overview of the actual trail and the different paths that you can take and the different features where you can stop, the various dams and other interesting features, geological and hydrological features as you walk along. So in association with the booklet, we've also developed a kind of layer for an existing app, and it's called the Forge hiking app. So with Forge, they helped develop this layer, and that actually has the trail for the Table Mountain dams along with all the various points of interest. And there's also details on the kind of the type of terrain, the difficulty of the walk, etc., as well as whether you need a permit. You do need a permit in the one section. And if you click on each of those little stops, it gives you a little description of the stop. And you can also look at a picture, and that links to what's in the guidebook. So just focusing on the actual geology of the Table Mountain Dams Trail. The dams themselves, not many people know, or not many people outside of Cape Town, and even people within Cape Town don't know about them because they're situated south of the famous Table Mountain view. So it's on what's called the back table, and they sit on top at about 600 to 800 meters above mean sea level on the Table Mountain group. And the TMG is a series of highly fractured sandstones and shales and siltstones. Like I said, or in this case, Ordovician age, so 490 to 445 million years old. The main formation is the white quartzitic sandstones of the Peninsula Formation, and they're highly resistant to erosion, hence the high elevation mountain ranges. They were highly deformed during the Cape orogeny, which is Permian and Triassic in age, and then also during Gondwana breakup. If I go to the next slide. And the Peninsula Formation, in this case, is the light blue units that you can see on the geological map, and they overlap older Neo-Proterozoic to Cambrian granites and shales. So yeah, in this area, the Peninsula Formation, the Table Mountain group is relatively flat-lying, and if you move eastwards, the Table Mountain group is intensely folded as a result of the Cape orogeny, but in this area, it's relatively flat-lying, and that's explained in the booklet. And then just some of the pictures in the bottom left-hand corner is the shales of the Graafwater Formation, which is an old estuarine deposit from the early Ordovician. And then the middle picture is the quartzites of the white quartzites of the Table Mountain group. And then because they form a fractured aquifer, you get groundwater discharge, and you get these interesting groundwater-dependent ecosystems, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, which are carnivorous plants called sundews in this case. And although it's flat line, there is some structure. So there's some interesting fold-bend folds and monoclinal features, which also describes as taken directly from the book, this slide. And that plays an important role in the history and development of the Cape Fold Belt. So just going quickly through the supply history itself. Like I said, the area below Table Mountain Dam was originally had people from the Khoi and the San living thousands of years ago. They called it Kamissa, which means a place of sweet water, and they called Table Mountain Hurakwacha, which means mountain in the sea. And then the Dutch East India Company came in the 1650s and settled there because of the water supply. That picture has disappeared, sorry. And yeah, that's just it was a picture of the reservoir that they found when they excavated a mall in the 1970s. So the original reservoir that drained the rivers from the face of Table and springs from the face of Table Mountain held about 500,000 liters. Because of population growth, they then built additional reservoirs in the City Bowl area, and that's called the Volpark and Maltino reservoirs. But even those, with the increasing population and periods of drought, was not sufficient. So they actually built a tunnel at the back of Table Mountain in the back table area to divert a stream called the Disa River, and then transferred that water along a pipe track for tens of kilometers into the city bowl. And this is all still in existence today because of the stonework from the Scottish stonemasons and the Cornish miners that built these structures. And then the Disa River would dry up in summer. So in the late 1800s, they then built what is called Woodhead Dam. And that's the first dam on Table Mountain. And it's an International Historic Civil Engineering Landmark because it's also a stonemason dam wall. And this material was brought up to the top of Table Mountain by a cableway, which is on the not the same one that people use for tourism reasons nowadays, but still impressive that they brought all the material up as well as steam trains up to the top of Table Mountain using this cable car. They then built when the Woodhead dams was not enough, because obviously the more water you supply, the more people move into your area. A few years later, they then built the Haley Hutchison Dam. And as you can see, a small town or little settlement developed around the dam. And all this history is now reflected in the Waterworks Museum, which you can visit when you're on top of Table Mountain. 3 smaller dams were also built by a separate municipality at the time, south of the Woodhead and Haley Hutchison dams up to 1910, and that included the Victoria, Alexandra, and De Villiers dams. So at the end of 1910, there were 5 dams, and they supplied about 2,400 million litres, which was 12 times the existing storage of the city bar reservoirs. But at present, they only give about 3 days of water supply to Cape Town. And that resulted in the large dams of the Western Cape water supply system being built from the 1920s onwards. The final thing that was built was a tunnel to replace the Woodhead Tunnel called the Apostle Tunnel, and that still works today. And it's the longest staircase in the Southern Hemisphere, apparently. It's about 1,300 meters long through the mountainside. And that transports water from the Woodhead and Haley Hutchison dams to Cape Town. Like I said, they then built 6 major dams to the east of Cape Town, which form part of the Western Cape water supply system, and they provide have storage for 900,000 megaliters or million liters of water, and this is 375 times the storage of the original Table Mountain dams. And those Table Mountain dams used to supply a population of 100,000 or so, and now we have 4.5 million people in Cape Town. But even now, these dams aren't enough for the water supply for Cape Town because of extended droughts due to climate change, and the city is looking at groundwater supply from the 3 major aquifers it has access to, so the TMG, the Cape Flats, and the Atlantis aquifers marked in red in that image, as well as water reuse and desalination. And the reason for this, these extended droughts, is because Cape Town itself, or the Western Cape, is generally dry. It's a Mediterranean climate. So it has very hot, dry summers and cool winters. So you have to store cool and wet winters. So you have to somehow store that winter rainfall. But the problem is, it seems with climate change that the South Atlantic high pressure, which you see there on the left of Southern Africa, has shifted southwards and is preventing the track of mid-latitude cyclones moving into the Western Cape. And that is preventing winter rainfall. So we're getting reduced winter rainfall to feed into these dams. So yeah, the city has to look at alternative bulk water supply options going forward. So I'm just going to go through the Hermanus waterwork quickly. Like I said, it's in a preliminary stage of design. The Hermanus area was founded in the early 1800s and used to be supplied by springs from the Table Mountain Group. It then used groundwater up into the mid-70s, but then they built what's called the De Bos Dam, and they forgot about groundwater. All the well fields went into disrepair or got abandoned. And then with the growth of the town, because of influx of a lot of retired professionals as well as tourism, because it became a famous whale watching spot, the Bos Dam couldn't supply enough surface water. So then the town went back to looking at groundwater from 3 well fields into the Table Mountain Group. And they target various major fault structures, which you can see on the map here. The Gateway well field targets in Hermanus Fault, and the Campbell and Wilmot well fields targeting the Atacquascliff faults. And they now supply 30 to 40% of groundwater to Hermanus and are recognized as the best run municipal well fields in South Africa. So the whole concept of the water walk is to start at the discharge point, the natural discharge point from the Hermanus fault, which is adjacent to the Hermanus wastewater treatment works, which is the human discharge point of used water, drive up to the pre-external water treatment works. So driving fast like you're moving through the reticulation system of water, and then walking along the contour path along the Hermanus Fault. And your walking is obviously much slower than your driving, and that shows the slow movement of groundwater along the Hermanus Fault all the way up to the recharge area in the Ferncliff Nature Reserve. And this is just some imagery showing the beauty of Hermanus and the various fault structures in red dashed lines. And then behind the mountains of Hermanus, this is the Himmelenade Valley, which is famous for its wines. So that's another aspect that you can bring into the geoheritage. Last couple of slides, this is just to show the well field, which is quite technologically advanced, operates off telemetry, and the idea is to install educational boards as well as a small education room to teach locals and visitors while they do the water walk about how groundwater is abstracted, why it can be abstracted as a renewable resource in this case, and is important for the development and continued functioning of Hermanus. And this will include beautifying the area. This is in association with the Overbeek Geoscientist Group. So painting the existing reservoirs at the entrance of Hermanus, and then at the back of them putting murals about the water history as well as how the hydrogeology and geology works, and having an educational room and office in association with the Ferncliff Nature Reserve, which also has its own info kiosk to teach people about the hydrogeology of the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Dion. That was a perfect timing for the presentation, and really fascinating views in there. So thank you so much. Now it is time for the questions. So I'm going to ask the other speakers to join us here too.
We're here.
Hi all, once again. First of all, there have been many comments and questions in the chat. And maybe if we start from the last presentation, so from Dion, I would like to ask myself that the term hydrogeological heritage was a new one for me. So how commonly is it used in geoheritage approaches?
I'm not sure on the international perspective. Locally, we have what's called a Water Research Commission, which is a kind of a semi-government funded institute, and they produced a few years ago a series on the hydrogeology or hydrogeological heritage of various areas in South Africa. So they've done 2 or 3 books, I think. The one is on Cape Town as a whole, and there's one on Pretoria, the capital city of South Africa. So yeah, they kind of, from what I know locally, they developed that term, but I'm not too sure on the international perspective if it's used. But yeah, since we in the groundwater business, we think it's important, obviously, as well from a geoheritage aspect. So it's just an extra thing that we've started doing.
Definitely, and I really like the term. It tells what is it about, so it's a good term, definitely. Thank you. Next, there are some questions for Vlad. First of all, Gregor Gatsu is asking from France that how do you choose the size of the grid in your study?
In my research, I didn't use grid. I just overlap one map on another, and it created small areas with values from both elements which are used for mapping. And it's creating areas and wise. I'm not using grid. Basically, it's depend on a quality of map.
Then Benjamin van Broek de Vries had few questions and comments, and for instance, he writes that it worries me that a long smooth feature may come out with low geodiversity value, although it might be significant. So should the diversity be scale dependent, or do like the low or smooth features kind of underrepresented in this data when using DEMs, for instance?
Yeah, I understand this question is like all this connected with how we evaluate the like elements which we are using, and at the same time how the quality of our maps. But first of all, I know this problem. We're always working on improving our evaluation system. But here we also, sorry, I forget what I wanted to say. Yeah, we're always trying to improve our evaluation system because we're using the most simple method to get some kind of information which can show. It's like because we have a big area of research and we need somehow to minimize this to highlight the most important places which likely to present potential geosite, as we call, because otherwise it will be too much work we need to do to find out those places. I agree, it's like this is a problem. It's why one of my next step is actually improve our assessment from geomorphological perspective to make it more precise. This highlight.
Yeah. That sounds interesting. Good luck with the future work.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I will hear some results from that too. Next, there were some questions for Evie. She unfortunately had to go already, but she wrote answers to the questions, which I will read aloud. So first of all, Jessica asked that how costly was the preparation for the mobile app? And Evie answered that the preparation for the mobile app is not so costly, but it depends on the materials that you want to include in the application. For example, if you want to have 360 videos or photos, for example. Then Benjamin asked that whether the structure of the material could be made available so others could copy and put their own sites into the same format. And Evie answered that yes, of course, the structure of the Santorini volcano app could be made available for other sites. So she was really positive about this one. Then there were several comments for Ghislaine in the chat. And first of all, Andrea really liked the landscapes, and she also asks that do the locals have any cultural interpretation of those volcanic landforms?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Andrea, for asking the question. I would like to say yes, because the main block is used for cultural, I can say, activities, and one of the mega dike in the study area is also used for initiation ritual. Sorry, and concerning the main block, when, for example, for people living there, when a woman cannot get pregnant, she must walk around the central neck without getting hurt, and there she will be treated. It's work for the local people, That it means that they are aware of the cultural interpretation of those landforms.
Yes, thank you. Then there were several other questions too, but I will raise up the one by Marton Paal, who asks that is there a governmental background for geoconservation and geoheritage activities?
Okay, thank you, Marton Paal. I can say there is not governmental background because governmental background for geoconservation and geoheritage, because the geoheritage studies in Cameroon are just beginning, and all the political decisions made, I can say, anything is oriented towards, I can say, forest reserve, biodiversity, but the geodiversity is not in projects of the government. And we are still working, hard to bring the government and the major public to be aware about the heritage of the Cameroon, because we have a lot of fascinating landform, sedimentary, metamorphic, and volcanic one. We hope that in the close future, the government will maybe will try to follow what we are doing and maybe take some decision regarding the protection, legal protection, or maybe legal promotion of those geoheritage feature.
Yes, thank you. I wish all the best with that, and hopefully there will be progress in the future. Then there were, when moving to Annie's presentation, there were comments which say that your presentation was fantastic. Oh, yeah.
Elena,
Please.
please. I think there was a question from Van Vic Devry concerning the local awareness of the value of this area. The question is very close to that of Andrea. I would like to say the local awareness, the value that the local people know is the cultural one, the cultural value. The site is used, the site is used, or landforms are used for cultural events, and but for scientific value, it is not the case, because the people there don't know anything regarding the geology of the locality, and some studies are going on, and we hope that the result will be maybe sent to the local people, and maybe using the local language to explain the geological component of the landform, and maybe and other values, as like I said, scientific, ecological one. And but for now, they just know that the landform have interesting and high cultural value.
Yes, thank you for your thoughts on that too. We are unfortunately running out of time with the session, but Annie, a quick question for you regarding to the Olympus region. So what are your thoughts on the future of the geotourism in the Olympus region?
It grows every year, that's for sure. Now that COVID is done, we can even offer our Mythology as a tour of the Olympus area. Although I'm from a different geopark, that's all right. We've been everywhere, shall we say. And it's an extremely friendly place for geotourism. You can't escape it. You can't escape Olympus. It's just as heavenly as it is described.
Yeah, thank you for the evaluation. I wish I could visit the region too in a year or 5 or 10. It looks like a really beautiful one, and a lot of history behind it. We are running out of time with this session, so it's time to wrap this session up. I think that this session was a good example of how topics related to geoheritage cover different viewpoints as well as geographical areas. So I would like to warmly thank you once again for Vlad, Evie, Ghislaine, Annie, and Dylan for your presentations. And I would like to thank also our delegates for your participation to this session. There are more fascinating presentations to come today in session 4, which will start 15:35 British summer time, so in 10 minutes. You can find your way to the session with the links provided in the emails sent to the delegates, and you can also find the links in the conference Discord server. So thank you all, and see you soon in session 4.